Hi everyone. Today we're going to go over our new Easy Global Zoning. So this is a great new way to just set and forget your zones and fees. So the first thing we're going to do is go over our location setup, and we're going to use St. Louis as a test. Uh, there are many ways to set up your zones and fee structure. This is what we strongly suggest everyone use moving forward. You'll see here that we have multiple zip codes as zone names. So this zone is named 63026, and that zone contains just the zip code 63026. Um, and and we have these other zip code zones. But what we've done now is we've actually just added a zone called St. Louis, or STL. And that contains, and we're going to assume that these are all the zip codes that are inside St. Louis. So now we've created this one zone. The next thing we'll do is we'll go to our map. What we've done here is we've drawn a map of St. Louis, and of where we want our boundary to be. So this is very easy to do. You'll simply select the new zone called STL, click the drawing point, and all we're essentially doing is just putting points on a map to create a boundary. So now we're saying this is our boundary, and you'll see why this comes into play a little later on in this video. So make sure we save the map. So now that the map is saved, we're going to go ahead and go to restaurants and set everything up. So now you'll see you have global fees at the top, and we have the first thing you'll see is easy zoning. So we simply want to apply an easy zone to all of, which is a tiered style, to all of our restaurants in this location. There are some videos here explaining what everything on this page does, but we do believe that this is fairly self-explanatory. You have your distance, your flat pickup fee, your per mileage fee, your minimum order at each tier, and then your delivery time at each tier. And then last, your max distance and your surge. And we suggest using this. This just uses predictive drive time for future orders. So something we did add were some templates. So if you were at the conference, you would have seen that we took some time and came up with some averages that we thought would really work for the consumer and for the business. So in this case, we're going to say we want our drivers to average $15 an hour. Um, Click, and we'll simply populate this setup for you. We do need to check this box if you want to use predictive drive times. And then something you should also know is this can all be edited. This is just a template. So let's say I actually want, tier 7. I want to change this to, it's got to be over $75 to go this far. It's got to be over 200 to go over 10 miles. It's got to be 500 to go over 15 miles, and it's got to be 1,000 to go over 20 miles. And then I'm also willing to travel a max of 30 miles. So again, I just want to show that you can adjust these templates. And now the next thing we'll do is we're going to update all our current restaurants to now have this tiered setup. So you saw the warning shoot up. It's going to say you want to make sure if you do this, you will overwrite all the data currently for these restaurants. And yes, we're going to do that. And then the last thing is we're going to set this as a default for all restaurants. So now when we add new restaurants in, they should automatically adapt this setup. So the next step will be to apply zones. So you'll see we have all our zones here. We're going to pick the new STL zone. We do not need to fill in any information here because all the fees and times will be handled utilizing um, the tiered structure that we just set. The only reason we would still use this and have multiple zones is if there is a zone in which you want to provide drivers with a larger percent, you would have to build multiple zones for that. So you might say East St. Louis, North St. Louis, South St. Louis, West St. Louis, and maybe in one of those zones, the drivers would get a larger percent of the delivery fee. But in this case, we're just going to say, hey, because we know the drivers are going to average $15 an hour with the setup we have, we don't need to fill anything out here. We're going to update all restaurants. Again, the warning will show. And then we are going to set this as a default as well for all new restaurants. So now that we've got this set up, we're going to check our defaults, and you'll notice that it shows the two defaults we just set up. You can remove these or add new ones if you'd like. You can only have one of each set up at a time. Obviously, you can't have multiple defaults. And then we're going to actually just look at our current restaurants, which we'll see they've adopted these fees that we've just set up. Everything is just how we set it, $1,000, the 30-mile distance, the per minute surge at 35 cents. So everything's how it should be. And we'll check the second restaurant. So as we go into Chimichangas 2, same thing. Everything is set up as it should be. Everything's identical. So we're looking good. Now the last thing is, let's go ahead and let's start new restaurant. Oops. All right, so we've added a new restaurant. And as we go and we fill out all our information for this, something that we'll notice is when we go to manage fees, the zone is set up, the mileage-based fees are set up, and the per mile are set up. So from now on, now that you've set this, you can just forget about your zones, you can forget about your fees, you just add restaurants, add menus, and everything will be set under the parameters that you've structured here on your global fees default settings for easy zoning. We hope you love this. We hope you use it. It will make the user interface more seamless. And it also will give you the ability to grow while providing these fees based on the structure that you set and ensuring that your drivers are getting compensated and consumers are paying a fair amount. So if you have any questions, please click the support button and send us a ticket. You can find that at your home page and right here. We hope you enjoy this feature. Thank you.